Good afternoon. There we go. That's the energy. I love it when you bring it. Hi, my name is Dr. Luis Martinez. I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to spend the next 45 minutes with you. So hopefully we will get through our talk today in about 30 minutes or so, 30, 35. We'll have opportunity for questions. But don't think that you have to wait for questions, because I know you're dying to answer a question. If the Spirit moves you, feel free to interrupt me. Not a problem at all. All right? So ground rules, you're allowed to interrupt me. Sounds good? Great. Ground rule number 2 is the following is educational use. This is not intended to be legal, accounting, or investment advice. Consult a real professional. Views and opinion expressed by this don't belong to anybody. They're mine alone. And thanks to AI image generation, any resemblance to any real people, living or dead, is purely coincidental. So got to make sure we get that out, because the lawyers, it's important for lawyers to do this. So when we began, I took a quick poll of people who were planning on coming in this session. So I know a majority of you have not pitched yet or beginning to pitch for the very first time. And so let me just cut to the chase and tell you in the next 2 slides the only 2 things you really need to know. Are you ready? So you can go to sleep after this. Sounds good? Very first one. The best kind of investment is called revenue. That's it. It's the best kind of investment. Go make money. It's easy. Hi. That's really nice. I like it. Awesome. Would you like to buy it for me? Yes. How much is it? This much. Here's money. I have thing. Yes. Do that. Sell something. That's the best kind of investor your company can have. There's zero equity. It's also called bootstrapping. There is nothing wrong with making money. Does anyone here not want to make money? Good. You're in the right room. So, revenue, making money, is zero equity. It's the best way to kind of grow your company. Here's the second thing. There's a book. There's a book. I did not write this book. Great book. Evan Beher, Evan Loomis, called Get Back. Craft your story, build a purchase pitch deck, launch ventures of your dreams. The first half of the book is what is a pitch deck? How do you construct a pitch deck? Examples of really awesome pitch decks. Last half of the book is how to do fundraising and aspects of doing fundraising. I know you're going to forget everything I tell you. Here's a book. I didn't write it. I get no kickback. When I used to teach university entrepreneurship, it's a great book. Highly recommend. All right. So everyone else can go to sleep now. Sounds good? You can go to your next session. So before we begin talking about a pitch and crafting that perfect pitch, it's really important for you to understand what you are going to build. And so please come on in. No. The timing is right. Because as you're considering what you're trying to build, are you trying to build a bicycle that's a $100,000 6-figure business? Okay. Are you trying to build a car that's $1 million 7-figure business? Are you trying to build an airplane? How much is this one? How much? Billion. Not quite. 5 billion. If a car is 100,000 and a car is $1 million, an airplane is 10 million. 100 million is a rocket. Notice I'm going by a factor of 10. Okay. Right? So 100,000 a car, 100,000 a bicycle, million car, airplane, 10 million, rocket, 100 million, billion. Why is this important? I'm so glad you asked. It's important because all of these 3 vehicles get you from point A to point B. Right? You all agree? Awesome. But they're different in speed. They're different in equipment. They're different in obviously how much they cost. They're different in training. They're different in technology. They're also different on where exactly point B is.
Limitations.
Huh?
There are limitations.
Well, and they're also opportunities, right? How many people came to today's session in a rocket? That's not what you use to get around the city. But it's what a $100 million, billion-dollar business looks like. If you're driving around a car, which is what most of us kind of drove around in, right? It's great. It gets you from point A to point B. You might even take it on a road trip. But you're not going to take a car to the moon, right? So different kinds of businesses have different kinds of scale. And you need to know what you're building. Why? Great question. This side of the room is great with questions. You guys got to pick it up a little bit. You've already got 2 questions from this side, right? Why? Because you're asking an investor for money, right? And you're saying, hey, Dr. Martinez, give me $1, and I promise I'm going to take that $1 and turn it into something. If you're building a bicycle and asking for my $1, the amount of money I get back as an investor is very different than the rocket that you're building. So this is really important to understand what is the scale of what you are building. Are you building a 6-figure business, $100,000, $200,000, $500,000 business? Are you building $1 million business, $5 million business, $7 million business? Are you building a $10 million, $20 million, $50 million business? Or are you building a $100 million, $500 million, billion-dollar business? They all require different kinds of fuel, different kinds of money in order to build what you're building. That's really important. And that's important because, as I mentioned, investors are investing money to make money. And some investors are thrilled to invest in $1 million business, a $100,000 business. Others will only invest in $100 million, billion-dollar businesses. And so you need to know who you're talking to. Very important. Number 3. So investors make money to make money. Number 3, you need to have skin in the game. You need to have invested time, effort, and money that is your own, that is what you're putting into the venture. You can't expect an investor at the beginning to put more time, more effort, more money than you have. That doesn't work that way. You have to have skin in the game. So your concept, your venture should have some level of time put into it by you, effort put into it by you, and cash put in by you. And that's important because there's 3 kinds of investment. Okay? We're talking about investors. And so there's different kinds of investors and investment that happen. There are investors that only give you cash. There are investors that give you time and effort, but no cash. And then there are investors that give you time, effort, and cash. And so what is time and effort that's given by an investor? This is mentoring, this is advice, these are connections, this is their wisdom, sometimes it's their credibility, it's customers. So as you're talking to investors, think about, of the 3 kinds of investments, do you want all 3? Or do you only want cash? Or do you only want time and effort? And it's important. I think many entrepreneurs that are starting this journey make the false assumption that the only kind of investment that matters is cash. And that's not true. Sometimes time and effort by an investor in your business can be way more valuable than the cash that they provide. So think about what it is that you want from that investor. And it turns out investors are worth more than just money. They're way more than money. Investors, especially those of us that are professional investors, have seen lots of different companies. Many of them have deep experiences. For your venture, is this your first venture, second venture, third venture? What venture is this? It's your first venture. Congratulations! You have a little venture. Let's give them a hand. As an investor, I see 10 to 25 companies a week. This is only your first. I see 10 or 20 a week. So they have deep experience, they have deep networks, founders, ventures, other investors that they've co-invested with, service providers, accelerators, incubators. They also have connections. They could be represented connections. This is who I work with. This is our fund that we work with. They could be affiliated relationships. We know each other. We work together. It could be their network. So to be short-sighted and think that when you pitch, the only thing you want from somebody is cash is too short-sighted. Investors provide a tremendous amount of value beyond just the check they write. They are more than money. But they're also not Santa Claus either. Investors are not giving money away or giving time away or giving effort away. They don't care if you've been naughty or nice. They don't want what you want on your Christmas list. And they certainly do not deliver exactly as anticipated, overnight, magically, underneath your Christmas tree, giving you exactly what you want. That is not what investors are. They are, however, always watching. So it's important to understand that there's different kinds of investors that exist. So not only is what you're building is important, not only is what you want from an investor with regards to investment is important, but you also have to understand the different kinds of investors out there that are investing into your business. And so there are friends and family, there are angels, there are VCs. We'll get to that in just a little bit. There's private equity, different kind of investors. Very few of you in this room will be thinking about private equity. There are crowdfunding platforms. There are equity crowdfunding platforms like WeFunder. And then there's the more popular product sort of crowdfunding, bless you, formats that we know as Kickstarter. There's also different kinds of other investment out there. There's competitions. There's a pitch competition this week here at RGV. There's grants. And as I mentioned, revenue is a great investor. And sometimes those investors are customers, right? I come and I buy your thing and I'm excited because I'm a customer and I've been a customer with you for months, years, decades, or partners or vendors. So these are all the different kinds of investors that surround the universe. When we're talking about cash investment, but also time and effort, the most common funding source are friends and family. Or sometimes it's called friends and family and fools, but it's friends and family. And so these are the most common source. Sometimes they give you money as a form of equity. You're selling part of your company to them, or it's debt. I'm giving you a loan. They're quick, they're easy. I strongly recommend that you have a formal agreement. I strongly, which could be a promissory note. There may not be a formal agreement, which makes Thanksgiving sometimes difficult, right? Where's my money? Well, you had this dream to go build a rocket ship, right? Yeah, you're going to go to the moon, right? It's been 7 years. Where's my money? So that's friends and family. They're angel investors. Angel investors are typically successful, exited entrepreneurs or active business people or active retired business people that are active investors. They usually invest in the earliest stages of a company's equity formation, known as pre-seed, which is the first stage, seed, which is the second stage, or Series A, which is the third stage. There is a formal Securities and Exchange Commission definition that's called accredited investor. That means they have a high net worth. Their net worth is over $1 million, not including their house or their main residence, or they've got an active individual income that's over $200,000 or above for 2 years or again, and they understand the risks of investing in early stage companies, that very little, if any, might be returned to them in those investments. So they understand the risks of investing and are formally accredited investors. The thing for you in this room that's the most important is they're investing their own money. This is my money, this is her money, this is their money. They're investing it into the business. So typically angel investors will invest in a local business because we're from RGV, we're from Brownsville, I know these folks, we go to the same church, we belong to the same neighborhood, or I made my money in oil and gas, I understand oil and gas, I only invest in oil and gas. Or I make my money in real estate, I understand real estate, I'm broadly interested in real estate tech. Or I'm a banker, I love fintechs, I understand fintechs, I'm interested in investing my own money in fintechs. Venture capitalists are different. They pool together funds from all sorts of different investors. You give me a check, and 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 together I promise to make you all lots of money. And you trust that I will invest that money in other companies. So VCs are representing and using someone else's money, and they usually don't fund the startup first dollars in. So friends and family are typically first dollars in. You and your own money are typically first dollars in. Sometimes angel investors are first dollars in. VCs typically come after them or at the very earliest stages with those angel investors. And what they do is they seek to target ventures that will return revenue equal to all the amount of money that came into that fund. So we're looking for large returns. Time out. Quick quiz. Between angel investors and venture capital, who is more likely to invest in rockets? Raise your hand. Angel investors. Okay, some of them do. Some of them do. Venture capitalists, you bet. So if you are not building a $100 million, billion-dollar company, chances are venture capitalists are not for you. Why? Good question. Excellent question. Thank you for asking that. Now this side of the room is beginning to get some answers. Why? Well, because venture capitalists are investing in very high risk, very high reward investments at a really early stage. They need high growth, rapid growth. They're typically focused, but not necessarily restricted to technology companies. As we saw with the recent exits with Siete Foods and with Poppy, it doesn't have to only be technology. CPG is there as well, but it's usually technology or technology-enabled companies. They purchase equity, part of the company. They're on your cap table. Their investment horizon is typically 5 to 10 years. So I'm going to give you $1 with the expectation that it's going to come back 20 to 10x more in 5 to 7 years. And so those returns are generated when you as a company sell, either on the public equity markets as an IPO or as a merger or acquisition. So they're looking for businesses that will scale at a massive level They're looking at valuations in markets that are measured in tens of millions, hundreds of millions, billions. Typically, it's a technology or innovation component, and VCs only get paid when you exit. If your goal is to build a company that you will build for your family and then hand down to your kids or your grandkids, that is not a venture capital opportunity. It is understood that you will sell the company to either an acquirer or the public in an IPO if you're getting venture capital, because that's how I, as a venture capitalist, get my money back. They also know that 9 out of 10 companies are going to fail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to write a check to all of these guys. None of them make any money. They're dead to me. 8, 9, 10. You're the one who makes me money. That's it. They understand that 9 out of 10 will go to 0. And that's important for you as a founder because the way this game is played, so know the game that you're playing, is that you will get diluted. Here's examples of some of the sort of IPOs that happened. Mark Zuckerberg, VCs owned 22% of his company. The founder owned 31%. Twitter, again, 21% founder. LinkedIn, 21. Twitter was 17. Sabre, which was now we know it as Travelocity, right? Those founders got 1%. VCs had 97% of that company. So you will get diluted. Here's an example of the kind of ranges at which you will get diluted to as you're taking additional VC dollars. So if your intention is never to sell the company or to have a controlling interest in your company for the lifetime, which means you own more than 51%, VCs are not for you. 6th factor that's important to understand before you pitch to investors. You got to know what the competition is. You need to understand the competitive landscape. What is your, as a company's advantage competitively? What are adjacent solutions that you're not thinking about that are competition? How will you win in that space? What gives us confidence that you will be the winner to basically destroy Facebook or destroy eBay or destroy Amazon? What is your superlative comparison? What is it that you do that's better, different, more unique than anybody else? What is your traction? We'll talk about traction in a little bit. And what are your competition's traction? And then what are the overall market dynamics and change that's happening in the marketplace? For an investor who is investing capital in you that is a VC, you have to be at least 10 times better from your competition. You can't be 30% better. You can't be twice as better. You've got to be 10x better. And oh, by the way, there is no such thing as no one is doing this. You have no competition. That's not true. Every venture has some form of non-competition, even if it's the status quo. Sounds good? All right, that's baseline. But you came for the tips. Here are the tips. Here's the tips. First tip, tell me a story. Make your pitch a compelling story. Have the person who's listening to you lean in, a personal anecdote, a statistic that talks about the problem that you're trying to solve. Make it personal. Share the why this problem is important. It could be your own passion. It could be poor Johnny. It could be my grandmother or someone else's grandmother. But you've got to make a story about why it is that you're doing what you're doing. And there's an arc to a story. How do stories begin? Once upon a time. How do stories end? And they lived happily ever after. What happens in between? The good stuff. So your story should have an arc. Once upon a time, these people had this problem, bad things were happening, we needed to find a new solution, and then on the horizon, the solution happened, the bad things stopped happening, amazing lives were changed, and, okay, this is your time to say they lived happily ever after. And then, exactly, and I make money, right? So you tell a story in the way that you craft your pitch. Number 8, solve a real problem. It's a clear pain point. You should be able to identify that pain point in 2 sentences. If it takes you a PhD dissertation to explain the problem, it's too complicated. Explain the clear pain point quickly and concisely. Talk about who's impacted. Is it my neighbor? Is it everybody's neighbor? Is it everybody's neighbor in the United States? Is it everybody's neighbor in the entire world? Is it everybody's neighbor in the entire world that speaks Spanish? Whatever it is, describe who experiences this problem and the consequences of what happens when the problem is not solved. And then create urgency. Why is it important to solve this problem now with my money or time or my effort? Why are you doing it? Why are you so excited that you've decided to quit and stop everything else and build what you're going to build? Why? Create urgency and impact to underscore why the problem matters now. Number 9, solution. What's your big idea? Your product or service makes the customer the hero. Who's your customer, my friend?
Which business?
Tell me about the one that you pitched to me before.
Well, the customers, as far as paying the bill, let's see, which one did I pitch? I pitched the special ed VR?
Yeah, I think you pitched the special ed VR, right?
Okay.
So who's your customer?
Well, the end user is going to be the special ed student, but that's not necessarily the customer.
Who's the customer?
They're not paying the bill.
Who's paying the bill? Who's the customer?
We're looking for eventually insurance companies because it's going to become an educational solution to go therapeutic.
So the insurance company will be the hero to get these things in front of these students. That's the hero product for the customer. I'm not saying it's not important for the kids either. Who doesn't love kids here? Right? Who doesn't want to take care of kids? When's the last time you saw kids like service customers? Yeah, they're not buying B2B SaaS software, are they? Right? So how does your product or service help make the customer a hero in solving that problem for them? What is the unique value proposition? What makes their solution, your solution, special? And why can it solve it better, faster, quicker, cheaper, in green, in blue, flavored chocolate, only available in 7 colors, completely customizable in 386 million colors, available 24 hours a day, available only in the morning, available actually as you deliver, available on a drone. Whatever that unique value proposition is, communicate it. And keep it simple. Keep it simple. No jargon. No, the Sickelfrix does the superlook, and then the Glubberglock does the blah blah blah, and then when you got the blah blah blah, it comes into a Gurglock, and when the Gurglock produces, it's blank. And it's better if you show it. Show me the product. Show me the solution. Show me how you will solve it. Number 10. Investors are investing money to make money. Tell me who your customer is. Insurance companies, awesome. Small businesses, awesome. Women between the ages of 35 and 65, awesome. Men between the ages of 18 and 22, all right, whatever, awesome. Not as good as some of the other markets, but still, define who your customers are, how many are out there, and then show that there's a real opportunity there. But just because your customers are all men between the ages of 18 and 35, because you understand this market super well, your beachhead market are not all men between the ages of 18 and 35. They are all men between the ages of 18 and 35 who have a college degree in computer science, physics, or mathematics that also really like Star Wars and that dress up and go to conventions with lightsabers. And that's your beachhead market. That's where you're going to start. And then you'll grow to those that like Star Wars, and then you'll grow to everyone who does STEM, and then you'll grow to everyone who's college educated, and then you're going to grow to all men. That's how the beachhead market works. You understand your initial focus and what it is so special about these people that is making them rabid for your solution today, because you have to prove to me as an investor that they're going to buy your stuff. If these people, which is everyone in the world, 2% of all of China, is you're telling me you're going to buy your stuff, great. Sell it to these people who are actively looking for that solution today. And show me that that growth potential is such that it's going to be the right opportunity for this market. Number 11, show me the money. How am I going to get paid? How are you going to get paid? How will your business make money? Super easy. I get paid from this person. I get paid this way. I get paid here, I get paid here, and I get paid here. I only get paid here for this thing, but this other thing, I get paid royalties on this thing. Show me how you will make money, and what are those revenue streams? Are they a direct product sale? Are they a lease? Are they a subscription? Are they pay-per-view? How do you make money? And then how can that scale? How will you scale that way in which you're making money? And then what's your go-to-market? I know I'm going to go after these kind of guys that like lightsabers and that go to Star Wars conventions. Like, how are you going to reach these guys? We're good on social media. Are they on social media? Really? Go to Reddit. Okay, they're probably at Reddit. Go to Star Wars conventions. That's where they're at. What is your go-to-market? And make sure it makes sense with the goal of how you're going to acquire that. Number 12. Of the recipe of how to be successful to craft your pitch, to be pitch perfect for investors. I can't emphasize this enough. This is why I'm pausing with a pregnant pause. This is really important. Traction. Traction, traction, traction. What is the validation that you have that your solution, your product, your company is the real deal? Yes, paying customers, money in the bank, monthly revenue, monthly recurring revenue, annual revenues, great traction, the best traction. But what if you don't have revenue? Because you're literally building a rocket. Well, what other validation do you have, right? Well, milestones that I've achieved, right? I've tested the rocket prototype. I've got the materials for building the rocket. Here's what a scale version of the rocket looks like. What are the kind of proxies for traction that you can show, and how are those milestones that you've laid out as part of your business? I promised you we would do this in Q1 of 2024, we would do this in Q2 of 2024, we would do this in Q3 of 2024, we'll do this in Q4 of 2024. It is now what? Q2 of 2025. I should have 5 quarters of milestones that you've achieved. Great question. Thanks so much for asking. Your name tag isn't around, so I'm just going to pretend I know your name. Your name is? Gael. Gael? Perfect. Gael says, but brah, I don't have any money, man. How can I have milestones if I have no money? Give me money, and I'll achieve the milestones. Give me no money, there's no milestones. That's the wrong thinking. Even with zero money, you need to show proxies for traction that you're moving forward. Show that you are working at building that business and that you clearly know what your next steps are. Because as I mentioned before, investors are like Santa Claus in one way. They are always watching. You tell me you did this in 2024. You told me you did this in 2024. You're now telling me you're doing this in 2025. I like it. Tell me more. You told me you're going to do this in 2024. You didn't do it in 2024. You told me you're going to do this other thing in 2024. You didn't do it in 2024. You told me you're going to do this thing now. You promised, super please. You promised you're definitely going to do this in 2025. Do I believe you? I'm not so sure. They're always watching. Traction, revenue is best, but milestones, progress, proxies is critically important. Here is not quite the most important, but right up there, top 2, top 3, team, 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 team. Why are you the right team? You as a founder, you as your critical team, what is your experience that directly relates to why you are the right people to make this happen? Investors are investing sometimes on the jockey, not so much the horse. So you want to give them confidence that you and your team can figure it out. Oh my God, people who like lightsabers hate our product. Oh man. But then we learned that kids really love the lightsaber product. Who knew? Kids like to bash each other on the head with lightsabers. Who knew? Right? Can you pivot to that next opportunity and build a great company? And then what are the gaps? Who are the advisors around your team? Don't worry, 2 more slides and then we'll get to questions. I mentioned competition, but that's another really important component. Understand the landscape of your competition. And what is the edge that you have in a strongly competitive landscape? All right, quick lesson. Who here likes hamburgers? Oh, yeah! You have lots of choices, don't you? You can go to Whataburger. You can go to McDonald's. You can go to Burger King. You can go to Five Guys. You can go to Chili's. You can make one yourself. In San Antonio, there's Mr. Juicy's. I love Mr. Juicy's. Oh, great, great. You can go to Five Guys. You can go to Carl's Jr.'s. I already said Five Guys. You can go to Carl's Jr.'s. You have lots of choices to have a hamburger, don't you, my brother? You're not solving the hamburger problem. You're solving something else. What is the edge? We're the only ones that are open overnight. We're the only ones that have spicy ketchup. Right? Who's got that spicy ketchup? You know who I'm talking about. They're the only ones who have it. What's their competitive advantage? We have spicy ketchup. They're also open 24 hours. So what is the competitive advantage? There's lots of choices out there. Even if you feel you're the only one out there that exists in the world. Because what you're competing against is the status quo, which is nothing. So, and it's okay to address the big players, right? If you're going to go after in the burger business, McDonald's, address it head on. We're the only ones that are making burgers where I'll tell you the name of the cow. We'll tell you the name of the cow that not only gave you the beef, but the cow that gave you the milk for the cheese. We'll tell you the name of the farm that grew the tomatoes. I'll introduce you to the little old lady who baked the buns. So even if there's a big player, explain how you will win in a way that makes what you're doing different and significant. One of the last things that's kind of really important are your financials. It's all kind of BS anyway at the beginning because no one really believes you in your first 3 years. These are my 3-year projections. Yeah, sure, whatever. What we care about is not the numbers, it's the assumptions behind the numbers. How did you decide that the numbers are what the numbers are? Because I'm going to sit there and disagree with you. It's like, I don't think you're going to achieve that growth in 3 years. What does that look like? I think you're actually underestimating the impact of tariffs. What would happen if there were tariffs all of a sudden and your production costs are increased by 145%? Then we would stop sourcing from China. Great. Where are you sourcing from next? Mexico. Great. Who's that source? Understand what the numbers are for the next 3 years. Understand your burn and runway. All of these things are important. But it's fundamentally the assumptions that you're using to build your financials that you are building to understand. I was at a pitch competition last week, high school students, it was great. And they said, in year 1, we're going to have our first numbers. And in year 2, we're going to grow 300%. And then in year 3, we're going to grow, you heard it, 200%. And I said, whoa. I kind of disagree with your aggressive growth of increasing 500% in 2 years. So it's the assumptions behind the numbers that are critically important. And finally, in your ask, break down the use of how much money it is you will be using and how those milestones will be enabled. Very few investors want to invest money in building the rocket. What they want is to invest money to buy rocket fuel for the rocket that's taking off. So it's the milestones that are being fueled by the cash to build the business. Last pitch, slide. Practice and refine and rehearse your pitch unceasingly, relentlessly. Phenomenal CEOs go through their pitch 20 plus times before they meet with an investor. Get feedback. Pitch in front of your parents, pitch in front of your friends, pitch in front of your spouse, pitch in front of your mentor, pitch in front of investors that never invest in your deal. Pitch in front of everybody. Get that feedback and know which parts resonate and know which parts fail. And then finally, know all the details. Know every slide inside out and what your backup slide can be. I'm excited to be here. Last slide. Keep your slides visual and simple. Less is more. Don't just show, tell. Don't just tell, show. And how important and readable your slides are is critically important. Which slide looks like a better story? The one on the right or the one on the left? They're conveying very similar information. I'm excited having the opportunity to talk with you. We've got about 4 minutes, I think, left for Q&A. Thank you all so much for your time. It's a pleasure to speak with you, Dr. Luis Martinez with Capital Factory. Thanks so much. We got about 2 minutes, 5 minutes of questions. Question?
When we have a product ready for going to market, in that time, even think about we are the period of economy and trends period. Is it possible to expose your product to the possible angel investors? I mean, you are referring to some sales before presented. In order to know how much money can you create or to have an idea, and it means that you have back experience before you present it. But if you are in the time that you have an excellent product, but it's only in your mind,
Right.
and you cannot talk about revenue, you cannot talk about percentage of growing. What's the right time? Is it possible to present it in that time, or is it not?
It's never too early. It's never too early to get in front of an investor. And it's so great when you're too early to say the following: I'm not here asking for investment right now because I still don't have my product yet. I'm not asking for investment yet. I haven't even got any customer yet. I'd like your thoughts. Remember, that time and that effort is really important. This is who I am. This is my team. This is what's in my head. Would love your feedback. Hey, this is the remember that meeting we had 6 months ago? This is the progress that we've made. You gave me that great feedback. Let me show you how I've taken that feedback and taken into consideration. Oh, by the way, I managed to kind of pull together some folks that are doing this cool stuff. I know we've been talking now for the last year. I'm not ready to go to market. So it's never too early to talk to investors. Sometimes it's too early to ask for money. But it's okay. What did I say? Investors are always watching like Santa Claus, right? They'll tell you, oh, this is look really interesting. You know, I don't know anything about CPG. That's okay. I just want to practice my pitch. Oh, I don't know anything about tech. That's okay. I just want to get your feedback when I go to market. Hey, I don't know anything about anything. Great, just look at my slides. Is it simple? Is it confusing? I'm trying to practice my project. You want to practice your pitch as many times as humanly possible, so that very quickly when someone says, give me a 2-second pitch on what you're doing, you can do it in 2 seconds. I think we've got time for one more question.
Actually, we don't.
We don't!
Probably for a little bit over there by the lobby. Do you guys want to talk to him?
I'm also available on the Huva app, so please check out the Huva app on RGV Startup Week. I am your organizer, Luis Martinez. Feel free to go ahead and DM me. I am, as they say, and as they're available on all the socials. Feel free to slide into my DMs. I know I said that in a very cringe way, but super excited to be here and share with you. Please, if this was exciting and interesting to you, please check out the Ask Me Anything with Animal Angels at 4 o'clock on the main stage. Thank you all so much.